Well, greetings from the Technological Leadership Institute at the University of Minnesota. My name is Azra Halilovich, and I work in the marketing department at TLI. I am joined today by one of our graduates from the Master of Science in Management of Technology, or MOT degree program. He's a graduate of the 2018 cohort, and he is an applications engineering supervisor at 3M. He's also the author of a new book. Join me in welcoming Abdul.
Thank you.
Thanks, Abdul. I am excited to have a conversation with you today because you were a recent graduate of the MOT program. I'm excited to hear what you've been up to in the last couple of years, including writing a new book. So I thought we'd just get started on introducing yourself a little bit. Tell us where you're from, what your undergraduate background was, where you grew up. Paint a picture of who you are.
Thank you, Azra. My name is Abdul. I was born and grew up in Ethiopia, and I lived in Kenya as a refugee for a couple of years. Came to Minnesota about 20 winters ago. And I went to high school here in St. Paul, Arlington High School. My undergraduate degree was a Bachelor of Science in Material Science and Engineering at this very university. So I was always, as a kid, I was always interested in math and science. After high school, I actually attended Concordia University, St. Paul, because I went there for a PSEO program while I was in high school. And after I finished my generals, and I was interested, Concordia was a liberal arts school, and I wanted to major in science or engineering, because I did an intern while I was actually in high school and a part of the college. So the internship at 3M really gave me the confidence to pursue an engineering degree. And material science and engineering is one of the most versatile and relevant field at 3M. So, and the U offered it. So.
Oh, that's exciting. What was it that kind of drew you to engineering in the first place? What excited you about it?
I was really excited about math and science out of high school. I did a program at 3M called the STEP program, Science Encouragement Program, where you get a training for about 6 months and then a summer job. So that was kind of where I got hooked into this idea of solving problems for customers and around all kind of things. So I was really into that, and I worked with many people who work in the lab. So I thought that was fascinating, especially that intersection between the R&D and translating that work into solving customer problems. So that was kind of my interest, and some of the people I've talked to have a background in material science and chemistry and chemical engineering. I just happen to be interested more in material science and engineering, which is broad.
Okay, so once you earned your degree at the university here, what were your next steps? What happened between an undergraduate experience and then kind of thinking about MOT? Were there other things as well that you were kind of considering?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was during my undergrad, I continued to do internship at 3M. And then after I graduated, I was able to find a full-time job there as an application engineer. Had an opportunity to travel around the world, to see our customers and work with our colleagues around the world. So that was really a fantastic experience. A few years after my graduation, I wanted to do an advanced degree. I was interested in really advancing my career, moving from an individual contributor to a people leader in a technology-based enterprise. So I did a web search, basically. Really, I was looking for a master's program, and TLI and MOT came, and the description was just simply perfect, because I looked at MBA, but I was really looking for an alternative, and MOT was just that. It was a perfect fit for what I was looking for.
Were you able to go to any of the info sessions or talk to faculty or students or other graduates from either of the programs you were considering that kind of helped sway your final decision?
So I did a lot of my research online, and after I really liked the MOT, I came to the couple of orientation sessions. I spoke to many alumni of the program at my company, and all of them highly recommend the program. And so that's kind of what made me decide and go for it.
So going back to 2 years before you graduated, what were some of your expectations of the program, and what were some experiences that surprised you?
I was looking, what I was expecting from the program was really to give myself, new set of tools in order to be able to contribute better, and for me to grow in my career and help along the way. So I got that out of it, out of the program. But I also got more out of it because, I would say, the biggest thing I probably got out of the program is this ability to fresh perspective, right? And the ability to step away from day-to-day activities and environment and get exposed to new people, like the professors and the students and guest speakers that come in, and new tool sets and new ideas for a sustained period of time, right? So that was just quite powerful for me in terms of how I approach, problems, at my work, rather than doing things the way we've always done it. It's more about how can we do this better, more effectively, and it afford me the opportunity to bring more tools, luxury to, choose the right tools for different occasions and situations and context. So that was one of the big one, and the other big one, a big surprise, would be actually what I got out of the MOT class of 2018. We were really a team, in my humble opinion, right? So the team really showed leadership at its best. The way it's kind of started was few of the team members just took the initiative to organize events and in and around outside of the classroom, and they kept us doing that. And while we were in the program, working full-time and studying full-time, family commitment, community commitment, it was just really good to have, people who can understand all of that, and we relied on each other, we supported each other, right? On top of, really, I mean, everyone came from quite very different background. The class discussions were quite rich, so we learned so much from each other. So that was amazing part of the whole thing. And the bigger surprise for me, even after the program ended, right? How well we stayed together as a team through, getting together every 18th of the month, book club. In fact, I have right now a mastermind MOT class of 2018 team that really supported me and guided me every step of the way in working on my passion project of publishing my new book.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. I think it's no secret to anyone, at least that's worked in TLI, that the class of 2018 had a special bond, and it's great to hear that that bond has continued to blossom in different ways after you graduated. So that's amazing. And I kind of wanted to jump back to your first point about the things that you learned in the program. You find that you were able to immediately apply some of those things to your work and not have to just wait until a year or two to realize how they fit into your role?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I mean the tools is just perfect for areas that I work in. You know, one of before even my capstone project come in, I learned so many tools from the courses that I could immediately apply to my work. Things around, for example, in my area, application engineering, we are responsible for customer insight, bringing that to a new product commercialization process. So I got exposed to many tools, newer tools that we could benefit from, that I brought it to my work, and I was able to implement it and to my function globally. It's well used. So those are every time something come up, when you just sit in that room, oh, how can I use this tool? Or you already come in with a lot of problems. I guess when solution come in, it's very easy to just pick pieces and practice with those tools and experiences that you gain from the class.
Oh, that's wonderful. I apologize for the noise that you might be hearing on my end, but I also want to go to the second point you made previously about the connections with your cohort. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship that you developed with different faculty members, your, the people who mentored you closely throughout the program, particularly your capstone, and how you learn from your peers as much as the faculty?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the professors at MOT are phenomenal. Every one of them, right? For example, Professor Stephen Wilbers, in the fall of 2016, he taught the communication class, and he made a comment, kind of a tongue-in-cheek comment to the whole class, where he said, if you ever write a book, first dedicate it to me, and then reach out, I will help you. And then I did reach out once I wrote my book, and he was a great help and phenomenal in terms of taking my book to the next level. For me, instead of self-publishing, which has a very limited exposure, he introduced me to my current publisher, right? And invited me to his writers group. So I get to stay in touch with him, outside, since program ended, long after the program ended. So that's really fantastic. The tools that I use from my capstone, most of them came from, Professor Samad and Professor Hansen's classes, and my capstone. The two were, my advisors on the capstone, and I learned so much and reached out outside of class to get their input in my capstone, and they guided me along the way. Brought that MOT capstone to a success. And of course, Professor Kirk Frogat, his lessons around designing high-performing, effective teams. I just go back to that lesson very frequently and learn from that, and we're in touch, throughout time. When I get advice on certain things, I still reach out to him and talk to him outside of class as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad that they've been really great resources for you.
Yes. And with regard to the MOT class, my cohort, what I call my mastermind class, Laura Murphy, Charles Wen, Santiago Vallejo, and Mary Picada really guided me on this project, my book project, every step of the way. Not only that, they were around and helping with manuscript. They opened up their network to me, actually, where I was able to reach out to their network and who have experiences and something to contribute, which is really fantastic to have.
So shifting gears, my obvious next first question is, to whom did you dedicate your book?
We compromised. We had a good discussion.
So tell us a little bit about this pet project of yours and what was the inspiration for it, why now, and what you were setting out to achieve by writing your book, and tell us as much as you can about it to people who may be interested in reading it.
Yeah, the book is actually part biography of my uncle and part the Oromo people, the ethnic group that I come from in Ethiopia, their experience in Ethiopia and in Twin Cities as well. And I wanted to write this because I wanted capture the voice of the people. There are nothing written up. There was these people struggled for their dignity, for justice. At the height of 1960s was a very historic moment in Africa in general, and in Ethiopia. My ethnic group, the Oromo, were fighting for their justice, for equality, and living with dignity on their own land. Because of that, the government cracked down on them, and they were shut out of the system and no access to education. So that their part of the history was never covered, and the history, as you know, is always written from the perspective of the victor and the conqueror. I wanted to make sure, I wanted to correct, and I wanted to give voice to those people who have struggled, and I want to amplify that. That's one aspect. And the second part of it is I want my children to know that where we come from, and that people have faced challenges in the past, and they've able to overcome. And I want them to have hope for the future. So whatever challenge that they come across, they will get over it, and if they work through it. So that is kind of the second component. And the third component is, close to 40,000 or so Oromos live in Twin Cities. It's the largest population outside of Ethiopia, actually. And a lot of, it's a very invisible community, and we are very quiet, and we just get to do our work. And a lot of Minnesotans don't know about them. I just wanted to give a little bit glimpse of who these people are, what their experiences were. And, as you walk down the street and you run into an Oromo person, every one of them have very interesting stories. And I just wanted to share a little glimpse of that to our fellow neighbors and Minnesotans.
Well, that's a really great project that you've taken on here, because I think it's really important to kind of help paint the picture of the Twin Cities and fill it out to be more robust. And so it's wonderful to know more about your neighbor. And I think that this book sounds like a great way to explore, the changing demographics of the Twin Cities population. And I, for one, was not aware that the largest Oromo population outside of Ethiopia was in Minnesota. So I have quite a bit to learn as well. So thank you for sharing that.
And so much so, we call Minnesota actually Little Oromia.
Oh, really?
Oromia is yes.
Oromia is what?
Oromia is the land of Oromos. The ethnic group is Oromo. Their land is Oromia within Ethiopia.
Oh, yeah.
So Minnesota is called Little Oromia.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that this will help pique people's interest in learning more about the Oromo and also are there other ethnic groups from Ethiopia that are present and populous here in the Twin Cities?
Yes, Ethiopia is a very diverse country. There are over 80 languages spoken, same number or more ethnic groups in Ethiopia. So even in Twin Cities, it's quite diverse from ethnicity and language standpoint.
So now your book is available for purchase, correct?
Yes,
Wonderful.
it is on Amazon. It's called Oromo Witness. Oromo Witness. It's OROMO Witness.
Perfect. We'll be sure to link that when we publish this interview because we definitely want everyone to be able to check that out and learn more about you and the people that you interviewed. So, shifting back to kind of TLI and also like your goals in general, personally and professionally, now that you've written this book and you sounds like you've relied extensively on your connections through TLI to help you create it and like go through the publicizing process. I'm wondering what is next in line for you. You know, what are your goals in terms of your career? Are there other books you're looking to write? Yeah, just tell us more about
My goal is really, so my role, what I do is we're responsible like for customer insight, and customer is at the core of everything that we do, and I don't think that will change. I will continue to contribute in that field. I think that's how I see it. The book thing is more of a passion project that I really see it as a pro bono project to my community, where one aspect is sharing the story. Second aspect is using the proceeds from the book to fund school children in Ethiopia, their school supply. So this is kind of a pro bono side project, but as far as my career is concerned, I will continue to do what I'm doing, contributing more.
That's wonderful. So as you talk about your industry and the specific role you're in, where do you see that moving in the future now? I'm really curious to hear your input, especially given the unique and unprecedented challenges that we're going through right now in today's climate.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, right? So the way I see it, the fundamental human needs don't change much. You know, certain things get emphasized, other things get de-emphasized, but at the core of, you know, the fundamental human needs, it doesn't change much. What changes, in my opinion, is how we address those needs, right? So we need to, you know, firms and the key skill, in my opinion, is really to be able to look at scenarios, you know, scenario planning, where you look at multiple futures ahead of time, right? And that affords you ability and flexibility and readiness to act based on what, you know, whatever, you know, challenges that hit or, you know, surprises that you get. It may not be exactly what you plan for, but the fact that I think the team goes through some sort of planning, laying out different options, is going to be very helpful in terms of responding to the, you know, to the rapid change. But you know, that's at the core of what MOT is all about, in my opinion.
So that being said, what are like, can you list a couple, you know, specific skills or lessons that you've learned throughout MOT that you feel like gave you a unique insight or advantage to prepare for an uncertain future ahead?
Yeah, I would, refer one to scenario planning. Having some sort of plan is better. What is important is that planning process and exercise, and um, taking a guess of the uh, water scenarios, and thinking through that will help respond, right? And one of that is covered at the core of MOT. And the second thing is around agile methodologies and ability to respond to changes. And I think scenario planning helps in that aspect as well.
So in that vein, I'm wondering what kind of message would you have to send to potential TLI or specifically MOT students and just the next generation of leaders, whether it's about the importance of education or the future of industry, your personal experiences?
I mean, I would say, with regard to the MOT program itself, I would tell people, if you want to, advance your career in a technology-based industry, if you want to, be a leader in that area, consider MOT. If you want to move into a tech industry leadership, consider MOT. And the key, I think, kind of attitude is to be open-minded, and to experiment, and to take action. So the 2 years of MOT goes really fast, in my opinion. And when you go through it, you get a lot from it. So that is kind of what I would say to someone who is really sitting on the sideline. Take action and do it if you're sitting on the sideline, and you will enjoy the journey as well.
So what do you think it takes to succeed in MOT?
I think the relationship is key, on multiple fronts. One is having the support of your employer and your colleagues at work, understanding that you are going through this program, and that people understand, on Fridays if you're missing, right? So that's one level. And there is also kind of accountability of sharing from time to time what you learn. It gives you an opportunity to practice, and get feedback and on the applicability of some of the tools that you learn, at work. And that's where really it matters, right? And when you bring, something fresh, to the group, and it's and helpful for the team, and people will recognize it. And I would say, as you go through the program, having also a great working relationship with your colleagues and with your professors, knowing who to reach out to, and really taking advantage of it, right? Of the resources that are at your disposal, are key, is what makes you and makes the program successful, I would say.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. And one question I meant to ask earlier, and it just came to mind as you were speaking, was taking advantage of everything that's in front of you. One of the components of the program we hear people say that is really unique and that helped them to achieve that, take advantage of all the resources that they can't even necessarily get locally, is the travel abroad experience that we do every January. Can you talk about what value that added to the program as well?
Absolutely. I thought that's one of the highlights of MOT program. And in my case, we went to Saigon, or Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, and to Shanghai. Just that ability to be able to talk to industries who are working in developing countries, some of the challenges that they face, and somewhat developed countries as well, like in big cities like Shanghai, the challenges that they face was really very insightful. And how companies do it and opportunities that are there for like consulting companies and how research is done. And that abroad travel also gave me opportunity actually to visit my own company, things that usually I won't have time to. I was able to spend both in Vietnam and Shanghai half day. In case of Vietnam, actually few days. In case of Shanghai, at least an afternoon at my company. All of that added value in terms of, for me, making connection, getting to know people that I previously communicated with through email, but getting to know and sharing my experience and learning from the challenges and opportunities that they have. It was really helpful to me. And, because of that, now I had much broader network within the company, for sure. I get invited to things that usually I won't get invited to just because I made that connection and we kept, that connection.
Well, it's wonderful to hear how it opened new doors that were previously not even visible to you. So that's really amazing. And I'm wondering, after 2 years since graduating, all of the experiences with the abroad program, classroom, your continued networking with faculty and your other peers, what have you been up to now, and like how do you see that creating another part of the foundation for where you're going next? What are some of your goals?
I think my goal is to constantly learn, right? And I think what MOT taught me was to be open and to look and network and people who are in this field, stay connected to my cohort, stay connected to the faculty at MOT and other networks where I can continue to get new ideas and perspective, and where we can discuss ideas or learn something that I could take and apply, or things that I can contribute to in that discussion. So I think for me, my goal is really to continue to learn, to improve through these networks and staying in touch.
Awesome. So as we kind of wrap up here, I'd like to just know if you have any final statements about who would you recommend MOT or TLI to, and just any statements on being a leader in the ever-changing landscape of technology and management.
Yeah, I would say, for MOT, anybody who works, my class came from multiple industries, from IT to a material company to banking industry. It's very diverse, so you can come from anywhere. It provides you very broad leadership, technology leadership lessons that you're going to draw out of it, and that tools and that can help you make an effective leader in whatever areas that you choose. What I tell people in general, for me, it's like, find a way to contribute, help somebody. And I think in my opinion, it's about, the challenge is how many people can you help? As you do that, whether that's through networking, through whatever, simple thing that, people needed. As you do that, I think you will learn you're actually helping yourself, and it kind of goes around. So that would be my word is to contribute in any way you can, and you will see it come around.
Wonderful advice. Thank you so much, Abdul. I really appreciate having some time to talk with you today and hear about your experience through MOT, what you've been doing since then, and kind of what your ambitions are long-term as well. So thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.